Okay.
Hi, my name is Dave Reski, and welcome to this edition of In the Now, where we focus on uncovering myths and misunderstandings of marketing and leadership with some of the world's most interesting people. And my guest today is Gwen Murray. Gwen is a marketing strategist with over 20 years of experience with Fortune 500 companies, including Amazon, Staples, and L'Oreal, all the way down to Series A and VC-backed startups. Gwen has led numerous marketing organizations focused on brand growth and lead generation, with an emphasis on scaling teams that help businesses create ROI-driven marketing campaigns. And then she just launched her new company, which we'll talk about,
Yes.
Up into the Right Solutions, which helps startups and founders create breakthrough marketing campaigns that drive growth and profitability. Gwen, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for reaching out. This is a great opportunity. We've worked together in the past, so I know the great work you and your agency do. So happy to be here.
Great. Well, we like to start these conversations by smashing a myth about marketing. And you and I have talked about brand strategy a lot. So, what's something that most marketers or maybe most executives or companies think about brand strategy that's just not really true?
Yeah, I think the big myth for me about brand strategy is that it's not worth investing in because it's not immediately measurable, right? There's no tangible result from creating a great brand. And branding is really a long-term investment. And you're not going to see those quick wins that you necessarily get from performance marketing campaigns that you can spin up and get out the door. But without those investments in brand and having a really clear, well-defined message, all that money you're spending on all those performance marketing campaigns is for naught, right? Your sales scripts probably need revisiting. The landing pages you're working on need revisiting so that you have a really consistent full funnel message. I just believe so strongly in taking the time to invest in brand, because even though it's not something you can necessarily measure, without it, you won't have a clear message and you're just going to create confusion. And if you confuse, you lose.
Yeah. So let's just take a little bit of step back on that. What is brand strategy? What are we talking about? Are we talking about, like, is this the logo? Is this the homepage look and feel? How do you kind of think about brand strategy? Is this a tagline? All the above, more? Yeah. What is it? Like, what's it all encompass?
Yeah, so I guess I would first differentiate brand strategy from brand identity.
Mm,
That's really what is the foundational element for me, is more the brand identity. Strategy is a little bit more execution based, but getting that brand identity together means that you have a clarity of your vision, that you understand who your ICP, your ideal customer profile is, you understand what their pain points are, and you act as the guide in leading them through a journey that starts with their needs and how you solve their needs. And you use things like empathy statements, authority statements to get them there. And with the brand identity work I do with my customers, we use a lot of story brand framework techniques. So walking away with a one-liner, which is a really succinct kind of elevator pitch that you can use across social media, your website, your email, as well as a brand script. So that's so involved and deep and meaningful that it's almost like a creative brief you can hand someone. But it's just really getting clear on who you are, what you stand for, and how you help people. And without that, you're just talking to yourselves, right? So it's really important to do that in a way that's based on research and based on a way that you feel really good about tapping into your values and what you can offer your customers.
yeah, I can see that that's so important. In a lot of our work in digital marketing, often we get involved with clients and they don't have that thought through. So
Great.
let's maybe talk about the negative first, because we've all seen
Sure.
that. So what happens if you go into an ad campaign, or you're trying to revamp your website, or you're doing an
Right.
email program and you don't have the brand strategy, and you kind of, maybe you're doing it yourself or you're giving it to an agency? Like, what happens?
Right.
What happens? It doesn't work.
Yeah, so brand identity is definitely about messaging, consistency, and values. It is important, just from a tactical perspective, to have your logo, your fonts, your colors, all of those things, because if for nothing else, you at least want to be visually consistent, right? So
Mhm.
so you at least want to have those in place. But the whole thing about not having the brand in place before executing is that Donald Miller, I'm a real Donald Miller fan. I use a lot of his story brand techniques with my clients, and He talks about people don't buy products they think they want, they buy products they understand.
Mm.
And if they don't understand what your value proposition is, then it doesn't matter how many campaigns you spin up. If it's inconsistent in your email and it's not matching what you're doing on Google or your display campaigns, then you're just not going to get that response. You're not going to motivate customers to take action in the way that you want them to.
Yeah. So talk more about that disconnect that you sometimes see between the brand identity and the
Mhm.
brand strategy. So you're kind of saying somebody can look good, they can have their brand identity, like the fonts,
Uh-huh.
colors, the website, but yet the strategy is failing for some reason. And how does that work itself out?
Yeah, so it really comes down to it's just all about clarity. And Brene Brown, I'm another big Brene Brown fan, and she has a quote that says, "Clarity is kind." And it's
Mm.
kind to your customers, it's kind to your employees, it's kind to have that type of communication where everyone is marching from the same playbook, right? So when we talk about brand strategy and the creation of a one-liner, customer success knows that one liner and can speak to it. Your sales team knows that one liner and can speak to it. Your marketing team most certainly knows it. And it is infused throughout your whole company, not just in your marketing, so that everyone knows how to show up. Everyone has clarity on what the mission, the values, and the objectives are of the company, so that you can all march forward in that same way. So building the identity and then executing on it strategically is really where you're going to hit your groove and hit your stride and make the traction and gains you want to see, and set yourself up as, have that UVP in place so that people know that you're the service provider of choice for what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that's really cool. I might add to that, it's a kind to your digital ad agency too, because
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah,
there's
I'm a
lots.
big fan of clarity when it comes to creative briefs as well. That's how you succeed together. Absolutely.
Right, because lots of times we'll get that, hey, we want to generate leads or grow sales, and the client's not really sure yet why people are buying the product or what's working about the messaging. And and then I think the reality is in that situation, it's expensive. So you
Yeah,
spend a
absolutely.
lot of money building pages or creating
Yep.
content or running campaigns or focused on keywords or SEO optimizing this. And if they're not sure what's kind of working or what that crystal message is, it can be super expensive. So,
Absolutely.
so when you talk about like executives don't get the ROI on brand, I
Right.
mean, when I think about it, like the ROI on brand in our narrow space, than ad space, it's usually obvious. It's like this, well, you get a higher conversion rate, lower cost per lead, higher, conversion to the sale, all those things work. Where do you see the confusion in brand, in executives? How come they don't like just get it?
Yeah, it's not that they don't get it. I think it's just a lot of times companies, and I completely understand this, want to get traction. They want to get short-term wins. They're looking for just to get it out the door. A lot of times there's just a real get it out the door mentality, especially when you're trying to move fast, when you're trying to go for funding, when you're trying to get traction, all of those things. And I understand that get it out the door mentality, but get it out the door at all costs, right? Is an overall losing proposition, because if you don't have that quality content, then like you said, it's just wasted money, and you can't give direction to your growth team, your performance team, right? Your social team. You can't give them good direction. So I think it's about making trade-offs and being uncomfortable, right? There's a discomfort sometimes in saying, okay, we're going to take a step back. It doesn't mean we have to pause everything, but we're going to take a step back and really do some soul searching and dig into our brand and think about who we are and how we want to communicate and get really clear on that vision. And it might mean revisiting things, right? So doesn't mean you have to pause everything, but it might mean just taking a step back, revisiting your content, your sales scripts, your customer service responses, your chat bots, all of those things. So I think it's just really about making sure that you're willing to make those trade offs between a little short-term pain for real value in the long term.
Yeah, because there's massive value if you do that well. So, as a strategist, how do you get there? Is this just like you talk to the client a little bit, you understand it, you go back into your office, which you have a beautiful office, by the way.
Thank
Come
you.
back to your office, and then in an hour, you come back and, oh, here's your brand strategy. Is it like, what's the process? How do you get there? Is it just
Yeah.
magic that happens in your brain? Is there like a set of things you have to do? Like, how do you make that happen?
Yeah, well, it's a very collaborative process. Ultimately, my clients know their customers better than I do, so it's a very collaborative process. If there's any market research that has been done, that's always really helpful to use as an input to developing a strong brand. What I do is use some really effective collaboration tools and frameworks that just help you identify the pain points, your ideal customer profile, and really honing in on how you solve those pain points. So it's a collaborative exercise, and there's frameworks and tools for all of that that help us come to a consensus on that. And then we can get to those really hard hitting one liner statements. We can get to those really valuable, informing blog topics, informing social media campaigns. Everything can be centered around the strategic framework that I put in place with my clients, and really use that as just the foundation to grow from.
Wow, that's powerful. In your experience, do you find that those collaborative conversations with executives produce enough information to create that brand strategy, or do you need to supplement that with market research, interviews with customers, talking to partners? Is there kind of a research element that comes into this, or is like, do the executives in the company know enough to give you what you need to help create that strategy?
That's actually a really good question. And I would say it's not always the executives that know,
Mm,
right? They might have a thought or like a feeling, or, it's their baby a lot of the times when I'm working with startups and founders. But really, the conversations that are really valuable are with more of the people on the front lines, right? Talking to people on the customer success team. What are customers saying? Talking to people on the sales team. What are the objections that you're hearing? Talking to some of the, senior managers and their digital ads team. What are customers gravitating towards? What are they responding to? So, executives, I think, always are going to have a strong opinion and come from a place of confidence and assuredness, and that's really important. But as a consultant and as the marketing strategist, it's also my job to challenge that a little bit. And I think getting into the trenches is a great way to do that, so that you're talking to people who feet on the street, right? And have that immediate feedback from customers. So that really helps me when I'm working to put together a strategy.
yeah, that's really cool. And so once you create the strategy and the big idea, do you find that you like to test to see what the market thinks about it? Or is it usually the case where you find that the company just embraces it? They go all the way. I think of
Yeah.
like, the great brands and the great maybe taglines. I think of that encapsulate a brand strategy, like, just do it or something like that. That's, people get it right away and it makes sense. Or is it more a process of, now we've got these 5 ideas and we want to test them and get some market
Mhm.
research, run some focus groups or ads and see what happens best. I mean, is it, decide and go, or is it, yeah, we'll think about things and test?
Yeah, sometimes, candidly, sometimes that comes down to budget. So a lot of times it's working together as a team to feel really good about what you're putting out for your brand and how you're creating your brand identity, and then kind of just going for it. And the thing about brand, though, is that it's always a living, breathing entity, right? Your brand should never be stagnant. It should always be informed by what you're hearing from your customers. Even in my own business, creating my own brand, I've already done some pivoting and some shifting based on what I'm hearing from my clients and how I can best support them. So I would never say, it's like a all or nothing proposition. Testing is great, and you can do that with still laddering up to that bigger picture, right? So you can have your brand identity, your value proposition, and then always test different copy or different creative that you think is going to represent that in the best way. It's nuanced. I don't think it's black and white, but I think kind of putting a stake in the ground, going for it, seeing how it works, adjusting and pivoting as needed is really the best way to get the results that you're looking for, to know if you've landed in the right spot.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And in my experience as an agency, when clients have good brand strategy, it makes everything better.
Right.
Campaigns run better, results are better. So, I think there is a way to quantify that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there is, let me just ask you, do you think there is a way to quantify, and how would you quantify the effect of a good brand?
Yeah,
It's
I
hard
mean,
to say,
that's
like, we ran campaigns before the brand, they were this, ran
right.
campaigns after the brand, they were that.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
How do you
I
think
think
about it?
I think you can quantify it, but what is most important is your ability to quantify it is only going to come if it is consistent throughout your full funnel,
Hmm.
right? So you can't quantify the impact of a brand, of a new brand, of new messaging, of new positioning, unless you're speaking to it throughout the whole funnel, right? All the different stages, awareness, consideration, etc. So your social media, your email, your landing pages, your website all has to hang together. And that's, I think, part of the struggle too, is really the consistency. So if it's not consistent and you're just trying to measure it in bits and pieces, that's not really telling the whole truth and the full story. But if you go all in, you create consistency across every touch point, right? Your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your CRM, your sales scripts, that's how you're going to know whether you're hitting the mark or missing the mark.
Yeah. And that whole rollout and gaining alignment is a
Right.
whole process in itself, probably
Yeah.
maybe just as difficult as coming up with the brand. But that's another story. Let's spend a little time
Well,
talking
I
about,
do help with execution as
yeah.
well, because that, I mean, that is so important, right? You can develop all of these great frameworks and tools and everything, but if you're not able to execute, then you fall short. And I know with my clients, a lot of the times they're resource strapped, they're startups, they're founders, they're looking to gain traction, looking to raise funds. So helping put together a support team of freelancers, either from my network, or I use a lot of talent on Upwork. Sourcing that is also something I help my clients with, because it just adds so much value. And there is ultimately that, like, let's get it out the door, moment that needs to happen.
Yeah, and you make it happen. Well, tell
Yeah.
me about Up and to the Right Solutions. I love the name and what you're doing with it. So, like, what possessed
Thank
you to
you.
start the company, and what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, no, thank you. That's a great question. So, I've been in the corporate world for a long time. Worked at some big brands, which is, amazing experiences, and then also worked at some really small startups. So I've gotten to see both sides of that. And I was in the job market, and just like nothing was feeling right. And I was doing some consulting on the side, and that just kind of grew, and I got another client and then another client. I was like, I'm having so much fun at this. And I feel like for me, coming in and helping startups and founders is really a way that I can really add value, right? And that's what it's about at the end of the day for me: adding value, helping my clients succeed, listening, being a collaborative partner. I'm in it for the long term, right? I'm, not just gonna walk away, but I feel like I get to really walk with them in this growth phase, in these really pivotal growth phases, and help them navigate that. So, supporting them with all the different type of work and my expertise that I'm able to bring to the table is just a lot of fun. I'm having so much fun doing it. So I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's awesome. So, would you just best describe yourself as a growth strategist, as a fractional CMO, as a brand strategy consultant, as a CEO coach, as a therapist? Like,
Right. A
how do
little
you
of
see your
everything, a
role?
little of
Yeah.
everything. No, it's so funny. I play with my LinkedIn title all the time, right? To see like what, but I really, what I netted out on is I take the guesswork out of marketing,
Hmm.
because a lot of startups and founders, they're engineers or they're product people, or, they have this great vision for a service or a product, but they just don't know how to market it. So for me, I want to come in and help them take the guesswork out of marketing, because they know they need marketing, right? And they're going to pitch to all these investors, and investors are saying, what's your go-to-market strategy? What does your team look like? All this stuff. So for me, it's really about taking the guesswork out of marketing and using really proven techniques to do so.
That's great. And what do you hope to accomplish? What's your vision for this? Is it really your consultancy? Do you want to grow it with other team members? Do you want to build networks? So how do you see
Yeah.
your company growing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think I'm definitely gonna do the solopreneur thing for a
Mhm.
while. It's really fun being your own boss, and I have some amazing clients, and I am very selective though about who I work with, so that helps set me up for success and set my clients up for success by being a little picky, just to make sure that I can offer them the support in the right way that they'll need. So I'm looking to grow, over time. And really, it's been a very organic thing, which has been really great. So tapping into my network, that's how this is all started. And then just kind of expanding based on, one client to the next, getting referrals. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm looking forward to growing, but I am selective, and definitely don't take on more clients than I can handle, because it's really important for me to deliver high caliber, high quality work.
Yeah, absolutely. And who's your best client? Is it that startup? We're just trying to figure it out. Is it the,
Yeah.
Series A tech company? Is it the growing retailer? How do you kind of think about like the people you really want to work with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to solving all different kinds of problems. I really am. For me, it's about solving interesting problems, and feeling like I can add value. That's kind of my best client. I don't necessarily have, this industry or that industry, or, pre-seed or Series A necessarily. What I like to do is just work with clients who are committed to really digging into the process, right? And
Mhm.
really spending the time to work with me to help achieve those results they want to see. That's what's important to me more than anything. I'm pretty much industry agnostic. It's just about finding the right fit for how can I, help you grow. And then are you the type of client that's willing to put in the effort to do this together? Because I can come up with, what I think is best, but like I said, they're going to know their customer better than me. And working together, I just need someone who's willing to work together and be a real partner in the process. That's what I look for. So
Yeah, that's great. Well, you've got tremendous skills and experience, and I'm sure you're going to make an impact.
thank
One of the things we've
you.
been thinking a lot about at Now Speed lately is how do we make an impact? And we've been
Hmm.
talking a lot about like how do we change the world, um, and just make an impact on the world. How do you think about making an impact on the world, either through things you're doing personally or through the work of your clients? How do you think about
Sure.
that?
Making an impact on the world. Ooh, that's a big question. I think for me, the impact I want to make is to help these companies grow, and to help them move to the next stage, and to help them do it in a way that is thoughtful and considerate, and is really gonna help them achieve what they want to achieve. Like my impact is to help others. Like I always have believed, when I was managing teams and servant leadership, I believe in adding value. And that's how I want to change the world, is by supporting others in their growth objectives, and helping them land, that next big funding round, helping them scale, their team, and execute on campaigns, right? So I want to make an impact by helping other people. And a lot of, just to backtrack a little bit, the clients that I'm working with right now are very mission driven. A lot of them are minorities and women owned businesses, entrepreneurs. And that is actually something that I'm really proud of supporting as well, because it's, the disparities that you see in the market for minority owned businesses, women owned businesses. So being able to support people who maybe don't have access to the same opportunities as others, that's something that's really meaningful for me as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. And sometimes I think about like the generational impact that can have. If you help
Yeah.
minority-owned business or a women-owned business today grow, and that could
Right.
spawn other businesses, and that could have an exponential impact on the world,
Yes.
really,
Yes.
over a long time. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about your background,
Sure.
and thinking about like some early influences that have really helped you. So I was just thinking about, I don't know, weird memories come into your head sometimes. I was thinking about my early sales experience. And the
Mm-hmm.
first job out of college was a straight commission job. It only lasted like a summer. And I was going almost door to door selling solar energy systems. Now, solar energy back then was not the same as solar energy today.
Right. I can
So
imagine.
yeah, when
The
people were
the
buying,
green economy hadn't really taken off yet.
it was a little, yeah, back in the day. But anyway, that was really good. It was, I was didn't understand at the time, but I was part of like this cadre of like home improvement salespeople that were
Uh-huh.
selling windows, aluminum siding. We were selling solar, and I did that for a summer. But it was really good sales experience for me. Can you
Yeah.
think back in your, you've had amazing experiences with these big companies and these startups. Can you think about like an example of like some early marketing experience that you had that's just you kind of reach back to and say, wow, that kind of helps inform some of the work that you're doing
Mhm.
today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'm gonna go in the Wayback Machine as well, and I will talk about one of my favorite jobs was actually managing a clothing store. So I managed a clothing store, and I had a bunch of young women working for me, just running around, and so it was a lot of helping other women feel good about themselves
Mm.
because I was pulling clothes off the rack. Oh, this will fit you. Oh, this will look great. This will make you look cute for your date. This will be a great travel sweater for you. And so just helping people and clothes were just kind of the expression of how I could help people feel better about themselves and kind of, get some confidence, and then learning how to manage a bunch of 18-year-olds who were
Yeah.
running around the mall causing all kinds of havoc, taught me to, kind of set boundaries. I want to be friends with my employees, but we don't roll down the gates to the store at a quarter till. We roll, like just keeping things in line and moving smoothly. But it was really this place where, again, I felt like I had a purpose of being useful and being helpful. And that's always something that has stuck with me. And I love sales. I really love sales too. So
That's great. Well, it sounds like you can make great use of a lot of that experience as you reach out to the clients and grow your own business. Well, it's been tremendous talking to you. It sounds like you've got a lot to share with your clients, a lot of specific skills around brand marketing that we talked about. So thanks for sharing all that. If people want to get in touch with you to learn more about your services or how to work with you, how would they get in touch with you?
sure. So Gwen Murray, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's a great way to connect. Also, my website is upintotherightsolutions.com. So you can reach me there. And I've got Calendly links all over the website if you want to schedule a formal conversation. And I also just want to say I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and have this conversation. We had a great relationship with Now Speed, and y'all do some amazing work. Definitely very analytical in your approach, very collaborative. I felt like y'all were a real extension of my team, which I appreciate. So definitely happy to recommend you to an agency for any of my clients, in the market for some great talent as it relates to performance media and all of your digital media capabilities.
Great. Well, I really appreciate hearing that. That always makes me feel
Yeah,
good. So it was
good.
awesome working with you, and hopefully we'll be able to work together again.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for a great chat.
Thanks for talking too. And thanks for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks all. Bye.
Bye.